currently working as principal scientist and is also the scientist in charge of the Peninsula Marine Fish Genetic Resource Center of ICAR, National Bureau of Fish Genetic Resources. He started his career in CMFRI since 1999. He completed his doctorate in marine biology at Annamalai University. His area of research is aquaculture for conservation and livelihood. He is an expert in marine ornamental aquaculture. He has published more than 130 research publications in both national and international peer-reviewed journals. In addition, he contributed for 12 books, 25 book chapters, and 30 popular articles. He was honored as Best Researcher by Annamalai University during 2008 to 2009, INSA Fellow in 2009, K. Chidambaram Memorial Annual Award for the contribution to marine ornamental fish breeding in 2011, and Dr. M. Devraj Memorial Award in MECOS 2020. He is a member in expert committees on invasive alien species and normally traded commodities of National Biodiversity Authority and member in the steering committee on AICOPTAX of Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. Thank you for joining us, sir. Over to you, sir, please.
Thank you very much, madam, for having a nice introduction. Good morning, friends. First of all, I extend my sincere thanks to the organizers, particularly Madam Sriya and my good friend, Director, Central Institute of Freshwater Aquaculture, Dr. Swain, for having given the good opportunity to share the research finding of mine to this August forum. So, I came to know that today is the 5th day of the conference. Hope you all are safe and doing well. So I'm sure actually the last 4 days you come across several speakers and they have made the excellent presentation in different aspects. My topic of presentation something different from the others because my main focus is the entrepreneurship promotion and conservation of biodiversity. Of course, we all are working with the science, but our intention, particularly my intention, is our science should help to the poor. Actually whatever we have to do in laboratory, it should reach the common public. At the end, a farmer can get at least 2,000 income through our science. It will be a great honor to us. That is the main intention of our work, particularly with my work. So when I was introduced by her, she told that I started my career with the CMFRI as well as Annamalai University. So here I am sharing the work which I have done at Annamalai University, as well as currently I am attaching with the National Bureau of Fish Genetic Resources. It is ICAR Institute. What we are doing in Lakshadweep and as well as Maharashtra, some livelihood promotion work we are doing. So that thing I am going to share. In between, any participants, if you have any doubts or anything, kindly interfere. There is no issue at all. So, friends, actually, India has succeeded with blue and green and white revolution. So, thanks to Professor M.S. Swaminathan for green revolution and thanks to Mr. Kurian for white revolution. So now this is the time for blue revolution. You all are aware that recently we got a separate Ministry of Fisheries. Earlier we were attached with the Ministry of Agriculture in central government, and recently we got a separate Ministry for Fisheries, and recently the government announced the special scheme for blue revolution, Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana. So the total layout of the project is more than 20,000 crore. So this 20,000 crores, which includes state share as well as the entrepreneur share. So just 2-3 days back only, National Fisheries Development Board, they have advertised this thing into all the media. So this is the time we have to make a breakthrough in blue revolution, because we have a lot of resources. So fisheries, we have resources, but we are not utilizing our resources properly. So government identified very good thrust area and started working on this. So adding color to the blue revolution, it is, even though it is mainly with the fisheries, to give a touch on color. So we are doing with the ornamental fishes. You know that ornamental fishes are colorful. So we are working to giving color to the blue revolution. So I told that I am attached with the Fisheries Institute, one of the Fisheries Institute. This ICR, Indian Council of Agriculture Research, they have more than 100 research institutes. Among the 100, we have 8 Fisheries Research Institute, Central Marine Fisheries, rightly located in Kerala, Kochi. Another one, Central Institute of Freshwater Aquaculture. I don't want to share much about this institute because the day of inauguration, Dr. Swain, the director of this institute, followed by Dr. Sundar Rai, my good friend, he was the first open speaker. He also briefed about the center. Then third one is Central Institute of Brackish Water Aquaculture. It is located in Chennai. Another one, Institute Central Inland Fisheries. It is in West Bengal. The next one is Central Institute of Fisheries Technology. Again, it is in Kerala, Kochi. They are working for the craft and gears. These boats, crew and product pattern like that they are working. So the another one is, it is for northeast fisheries, that is Himalayan fisheries, that is Directorate of Cold Water Fisheries. The next one is deemed university. It is Central Institute of Fisheries Education. You know that in Tamil Nadu we have the state university, Dr. Jayalalitha Fisheries University, and in Kerala there is another one state university called KUFOS, Kerala University of Fisheries and Ocean University. Likewise, the Central Institute of Fisheries Education, they are the main focus is on teaching and extension. They are conducting MFSC courses as well as PhD program. The last not least, my own institute, that is on National Bureau of Fish Genetic Resources. The headquarters of the institute is at Lucknow, and we have only one regional center at Cochin. It is attached with the CMFRA building of Cochin. So we have some 8 scientists here, and I am heading the center, National Bureau of Fish Genetic Resources at Cochin. Actually, we are working for the future fishery resources. Our main mandate is on conservation, that is this cryopreservation, exploration, like that we are doing. I will share what we are doing. So friends, this is the brief introduction about the thing. So besides the Fisheries Research Institute, these all are the institute directly or indirectly involved in fisheries and aquaculture activities. So you all aware about the DST, DBT, Ministry of Earth Science, Ministry of Environment and Forest. These all are the funding agencies. They are supporting financially to all the universities, research institute and NGOs. Then Marine Product Export Authority, they are the organization working under the Ministry of Commerce. It is rightly located in again Kochi only. National Fisheries Development Board, this is the organization exclusively working for fisheries, comes under the Ministry of Fisheries. Now they are the nodal agency for executing the blue revolution in the country. Another one, Coastal Aquaculture Authority, again it is in Chennai. Then CMLRE, Center for Marine Living Resources and Ecology. They are also again comes under Ministry of Earth Science. Actually, they have a program recently. They have launched the program called Deep Sea Mission. Deep Sea Mission. Actually, we have a lot of deep sea resources, but we didn't exploit them proper for the sustainable utilization. So now government launched a program called this Deep Sea Mission through this CMLRE, Center for Marine Living Resources and Ecology. Of course, it is a R&D institute, but they are funding to the government organizations, universities and colleges for executing marine research. It is again in Kochi only. Then National Center for Sustainable Aquaculture, again it is comes under MPIDA. Then Rajiv Gandhi Center for Aquaculture. This is the institute, the headquarters located in Nagapattinam district, Shirkali. They have regional center throughout the country. They are working with both freshwater as well as marine. Then National Institute of Ocean Technology, I think most of you have aware about this thing. It is in Chennai. Again, it comes under Ministry of Earth Science. Zoological Survey of India, you all are familiar. Then there is ICMAM. Recently, they have changed the institute name as National Center for Sustainable Coastal Management, like NIO, National Institute of Oceanography. It is very familiar. Then BNHS, Bombay Natural History Society. So these all are the organization. These all are the institute directly and indirectly involving in fisheries and aquaculture research. Friends, you all are aware about the ornamental fishes. See, now our day-to-day life, but you can take this pandemic life of ours, our life is tensed, stressed. So we need some relaxation, we need some change, we have to divert our mind. So we people nowadays all are keeping some pet animals in their home. So recently, Honorable Supreme Court has given a judgment: you are not allowed to keep any pet animals in apartment system. So you are not permitted to keep a pet like a dog or cat in your apartment. So the only alternate way to keeping pet animals is none other than our ornamental fishes, because you know it is not making any noise. And you can keep your tank wherever you want. You can keep your tank, even your bedroom, your drawing room, or wherever the space is there, you can keep your tank. That is the advantage, advantage of this ornamental fishes. Earlier days, people used to rear only freshwater fishes, but now science, every day, everywhere we are telling that science is growing like anything. So from culture of fish to rocket science, we are developing our sector day by day. So lot of developments in even aquarium keeping also growing day by day. So people are keeping ornamental fishes. Then friends, actually when compared to freshwater marine, you can get more varieties, more beautiful fishes. See, name a color, it is available in the ocean. If you want white, if you want blue, if you want green, whatever you want, it is available in the name of a fish, available in the ocean. Then next, the shape, you can take the shape. See, for example, our pipefish, seahorse, starfish, or name a design, we can get it from the ocean. So that is the advantage for the ornamental organisms. Then the unit value of ornamental fish is higher than the food fishes. Of course, in India, we have well-developed technology for freshwater fishes. For example, we SIDFA, Bhubaneswar, they have developed technologies for farming the Katla, Rogu, Murgal. Our country is succeeded with that technology. Then marine sector, we have the technology with the CBOS, thanks to Central Institute of Brackish Water Aquaculture. We have the technology for cobia and this Pambano, thanks to again CMFRA, they have the developed the technology for mariculture of this thing. So here the important thing is, for these food fishes, it will take more than a year to reach the marketable size. From seed to marketable size, it is taking 1 year time. But in the case of marine ornamental fishes, particularly the clownfish, India have the technology for the captive propagation of this clownfish. We have the technology, so that fish within 3 months you can reach the marketable size. So that is the advantage of your ornamental aquaculture. So if you can see the trade, the export value is more than 900 million. So Indian share, here I want to emphasize one thing. Actually, even though the trade value is more than 900 million US dollar, however, India share is very less than 1% only we are contributing. But we have a lot of resources in India. If you are taking the freshwater sector, we have blessed with the Western Ghats, we have blessed with the Eastern Ghats and Northeast. Plenty of freshwater ornamental fishes are there. If you are taking the marine sector, we have blessed with the Gulf of Mannar, rightly available in Tamil Nadu, then Gulf of Kutch in Gujarat, and 2 more island regions, one in Andaman as well as the second in Lakshadweep. So we have a lot of resources, but we are not utilizing the resources properly. That is the setback. But now this is the right time. When the beginning I told, India has launched the program called Blue Revolution. Definitely we can utilize our resources in a sustainable way, and I hope we will succeed in the Blue Revolution through utilizing our natural resources. Friends, I told you about the technological developments in aquarium. See, earlier days, people used to keep some one small glass tank, and they used to put the fish with some aerator or something. It will survive. But here, due to the technological development, say how they have converted the tank, even a wash basin, even a dining table. So now sophisticated instruments are available in the market. For example, different filters, canister, then denitrifier, ozonizer, protein skimmer, wave maker. So these all are the sophisticated instruments available in the market. So if you can install these equipments in your aquarium tank, no need to worry about water exchange and all. It can survive for a quite fish can survive for a quite long time with this equipment. Then synthetic salt. For example, see, if you can take the Delhi airport, they are maintaining the marine aquarium with a nice, very nice way with the help of the synthetic salt. Actually, synthetic salt is available in all the aquarium shop. I think 130 rupees we can get 1 kg of salt. We can make 30 liters from this 1 kg salt. So this is the advantage, and this is the reason for the demand of ornamental fishes, because the man sitting in non-coastal area, he can rear marine ornamental fishes thanks to science. So because of the growing demand, we are doing some destructive fishing practices to collect these fishes. I will brief about that thing in the future slides. Friends, see, if you are seeing the business potential of ornamental fish trade, the present demand is huge. However, the present supply is very small. So we have to develop more technology. We have to harvest our own resources in a sustainable way, so we can meet our future demand. So from the beginning, I told that people are very fond in keeping keeping ornamental fishes. So actually, it is a hobby, not only a hobby, it is a business opportunity. It will be reared for decorative purpose. So many things are behind that. That's why definitely our day by day life is tension. Life is extending like anything. So there should be a future demand. So this is the right time we have to increase our things. See, this was the trend some 15-20 years back. A poor fisherman, he used to rear fishes in his backyard hatchery, and he packed it in polythene covers and selling the fishes through cycling. So this was the scenario in some 10-15 days. But now this is the present scenario. See, actually why I have put this slide is this is that here I want to emphasize the technology development. In USA, they are doing this kind of program for creating awareness among the public. This is called the mobile aquarium. So this aquarium, this vehicle used to travel the city every day some 10 to 15 kilometers. So the main motive of the thing is they want to create some awareness among the public. So of course it is a freshwater aquarium. Soon they will convert this as a marine, because we have a lot of technology. So day by day the technology and this sector is growing. That is the thing I want to emphasize. See, friends, actually, if you are seeing the ornamental fishes, there are two groups of fishes. One is on freshwater, another one is on marine. So in between, there is some few group of fishes called brackish water fishes. Brackish water, you know that freshwater mixing with seawater. That is the estuarine region. So this among the freshwater, we have two group of fishes. One is on indigenous, another one is on exotic. This indigenous is our own native fishes. See, this is our native species. The right side corner, this fish, it is called Kerala cune. It is endemic to Western Ghats. It is endemic to Kerala. This fish, it is a very high demand fish for fish in the aquarium trade. So this is freshwater fishes, indigenous fishes. This is indigenous. How beautiful these all are. These all are our own gem blossom available in the Western Ghats. This fishes documented by my own colleagues from the Western Ghats of this Kerala region. See, friends, this is another group called the exotic but however, it is domesticated. You all are aware about this discus, angel, Oscar, and all these things. All these fishes are not native of India. However, it is domesticated in India. Several breeding population is established in India, and F1, F2, F3, like that. So many generations are available in India. So since we are calling this as a domesticated fish groups of India, so it have very good demand. Very good demand. So this fish, Arona, I think most of you have heard about this fish. The below one, this red color fish, red chili Arona, the cost of this fish is more than 5 to 7 lakhs. Okay. Actually, people used to call this is the Vastu mean. Vastu mean. They have a wrong belief that if you are keeping this fish in your home, you can get money, you can get name and fame like that. But being a researcher, being a scientist, being an academician, I can say it is wrong. But however, people have a wrong belief that if you are keeping a Arona, we will get money and fame like that. But the cost of this fish is more than 5 lakhs. There are varieties of Aronas are there. This is golden Arona, then red chili Arona, then white Arona, like there's so many. But again, this fish is not native of India. However, it is entering India through West Bengal. West Bengal, some traders they are officially importing, some they are illegally importing, but it is plenty available in Indian market. Of course, it is not. I am against this Vastu and all, but however, since it is attached with the livelihood of the people, people are collecting the seedlings from other, West Bengal or Bangladesh. They are rearing it, fattening it, and again reselling it, earning more income. You know this goldfish, because every hobbyist, the beginner, he used to start his hobby rearing of ornamental fishes with a goldfish. Actually, friends, this is the Cariaceus auratus. It is the original strain of the goldfish. See, now according to the takers' interest, how these fishes can be modified. You see, all these are the variants. All these are the variants available in the market. Our Institute, National Bureau of Fish Genetic Resources, conducted a survey in all the metropolitan city of the country, particularly Bombay, Hyderabad, Chennai, Calcutta. We recorded more than 100 variants of this goldfish. Say one tail is long, one eye is bulge, one head is bulge, like that, so many variants. So these all are some genetically modified according to the taker's interest, the traders they are doing. But if you can check the genetic gene of all these fish, it is the single strain Cariaceus auratus. So because technology is developing, hobbyist interest, taste is differing. So according to their taste, people are making money through this genetical modification. See, this is another one fish called actually glass fish. It is mostly available in our freshwater water bodies. The cost of this fish is some 2 rupees, 3 rupees. However, during the season, this is a seasonal business. Actually, season in the sense, during the vacational season, what the traders they are used to do is they used to collect the fishes from the water bodies, and they are simply injecting the color powder in the body of the fish. They are mixing the color powder in the Dhatu inks and simply injecting the fish body, this color powder. So if the person is interested with the green, they are giving green fish. If he is interested with the red, giving red and yellow, like that. Actually, once they will inject the fish, it can survive for more than 1 or 2 months only. The cost of this fish is just 20 rupees, 30 rupees, 50 rupees after coloring the fish. So the students, those who are in the remote areas, they don't have much money, so only they have small quantity of money. That money, utilizing that money during the vacation, they are spending this. Of course, again, it is against to ethics as well as it is spoiling our biodiversity. But since government is taking some initiatives to stop this kind of things, but still it is going on as it is attached with the livelihood of some people. So again, this is the fish called Paku fish. Actually, Government of India has given permission to import 92 fishes to India. It is for aquarium trade as well as aquaculture. But this in the name of Paku is officially permitted, but in the name of Paku, this piranha fish is introduced in India. So this piranha is a highly carnivorous fish. So wherever this fish is available, our biodiversity will go. So this is the serious threat to our biodiversity. It is plenty available in our freshwater water bodies. Yeah, again, this is the, I think those who are maintaining aquarium in your home, you can very well aware about this fish. It is a scavenger fish. Those who are maintaining freshwater aquarium, they used to keep 1 or 2 fishes of this sucker-mouth cat in their own aquarium, because it is I told it is a scavenger fish. So it used to water the uneaten particle and this fecal matter, all this thing it used to consume. Actually, this fish is a fast growing fish. So if you are keeping 10 goldfish along with the 1 sucker-mouth catfish, means this sucker-mouth will grow very fast than that goldfish. So once it grown big, so it will agitate the water and it will spoil the tank atmosphere. So what our hobby is doing, they, instead of killing this fish, sacrificing the fish, simply they are throwing the fish near the water bodies. Friends, here I want to tell one important thing. It is an exotic fish. However, the breeding population of this species is reported in River Kaveri. Most of our freshwater bodies, this fish, because due to the ignorance, our hobby is to simply throwing the fish in near the water body, and now they formed pair and the breeding population is reported. Even though it is not a carnivorous fish, but it is spoiling the habitat of our nature, habitat of our other fishes, and it is spoiling the egg clutches and all. So it is a serious threat. Now our institute is NBFGR is working for the documenting the resource available in the water, and we are planning to work out a model to eradicate these fishes from our natural system. So friends, I told that we have a very good demand for marine ornamental fishes. These marine ornamental fishes is concerned. We have more than 8,000 kilometers of coastline. However, these marine ornamental fishes are available only in the coral reef region. So I told beginning, we have coral reef region in four regions: Gulf of Mannar, Gulf of Kutch, Lakshadweep and Andaman. So these ornamental fishes are associated with the coral reef only. So this coral, you know, there is a, due to rhythm there is a low tide and high tide. So during low tide, it is easy to see the fishes moving here and there in the coral reef region. But it is very difficult to catch the fishes because it will hide near the coral reef. So it is very difficult to catch or operate a net. So what they are doing is they are applying cyanide. Cyanide, you know, it is a poison one. They are taking a very trace quantity of cyanide and dissolving in water and simply spreading near the reef region during low tide. So the diversity, the fishes available in that region all get stunned. It loses its conscience. So immediately this collector, the fish collecting fellow, he used to collect his own target fishes. Target fish means which fish get more price in the market, that is his target fish. He never bother about the other fishes. He never bother about egg, larvae, and so Government of India, particularly Forest Department, is taking lot of initiative to stop all these things, but still some illegal practices are going on. Friends, I told that these ornamental fishes are associated with the coral reef. So see, this is the photograph we have documented from Lakshadweep. So if you are trying to catch this fish, immediately it will go to the branches of this corals. So it is very difficult to catch this by hand, as well as the operating net is also very difficult. So see how beautiful these fishes are there like that. See, again, I told that some exotic fishes, for example, this this piranha, as well as this sucker-mouth cats are available in market, and it is reported from our natural water bodies. Likewise, these fishes, how beautiful these fishes are, and but it is not available in Indian waters. Again, this is illegally introduced into our aquarium market. Of course, there is so far there is no report about the exotic marine fishes available in our natural water bodies. So why we want to emphasize all these things, we have to stop all these things. So if we want to stop this thing, all of a sudden it is not possible. So we need our own technology. If we can plenty of our own resources with the cheapest price in all the market, there is no need to bring all these things, and no need to bother about the destructive fishing practices and the exotic and all. See, now we are talking about the climate change. So everywhere we are facing this problem now. Climate change, it is a serious issue. See here, the color of this sea anemone, this tentacle anemone, Hedractis magnifica. So this photograph we have taken from Lakshadweep during the normal season. During the normal season means some March, February, March, like that. So this photograph we took during the June period. See, due to the sea surface temperature elevation, when we took this photograph, the sea surface temperature of the Lakshadweep water is some 30-31. But when we took this photograph, the sea surface temperature was 33. So due to the 2 degrees centigrade elevation of sea surface temperature, the animal is losing its juice on the lake, and sometimes actually it is quite common nowadays in Lakshadweep, Andaman and Gulf of Mannar, coral, it is simply called as coral bleaching. Even though not only the coral is getting bleached, the associated organism like this Tridacna, giant clam, as well as anemone, they are also bleaching. So alternatively, what will happen? The animals associated, the organism associated with this Tridacna or anemone, they are started moving. Then it is the fecundity is affecting. Then the frequency of spawning is affecting. So these all are the issues we are facing. So anthropogenic activities as well as man-made activities. So we have to come across all these issues. So of course, this photograph we have took from Lakshadweep. I told beginning there is an institute, National Institute of Oceanography in Goa. They have done some experiments. They have done some work on coral propagation. Actually, they have experimentally they have done this in Lakshadweep, and they have proven that after this growth, once the growth is noticed, automatically the fishes are also started settling in the new coral formation. So the same thing this Ministry of Earth Science, National Center for Coastal Research, Chennai, they are doing in Gulf of Mannar. This NIO and Lakshadweep Administration, Science and Technology, they are doing in Lakshadweep water bodies. Friends, so I told you what are the issues, why we have to go for breeding, what is the necessity, all these things I have briefed. Now I am going to touch about the prospects of aquaculture. So it prevents the habitat destruction. I know that you might have got something from me. So how it is spoiling the habitat, and how can we help to prevent the habitat destruction. So next one is overexploitation. Overexploitation, you know all about the seahorse. Actually, once our water body have plenty of seahorse, then the people started using this seahorse as a medicine. China is the pioneer in this kind of activities. They told that seahorse have a lot of potential, so people started exploiting our seahorse like anything. Now seahorse falls under the schedule on red list, so you are not allowed to collect the seahorse. So this happened because of over exploitation. That's why if you are collecting continuously your clownfish or damselfish up to one stage, there is a stock depletion, and again over exploitation. Due to over exploitation, again issue will come. Then third one is selective harvesting. Here the important thing is, see, if you are seeing the ornamental fishes, majority of the ornamental fishes, the male fishes are more beautiful than female. More male fishes are beautiful than the female. But the collector, the poor fisherman, he doesn't know which one is male or which one is female. But he used to collect which one is beautiful. Which one is beatable? So friends, if we are continuously collecting the male fishes from the particular ecosystem, what will happen? At the continuous male will going out means the reproductive strategy will getting failed. So we have to come across all this issue, collecting from wild, over exploitation, habitat destruction. So the only alternate way is ornamental aquaculture, captive propagation. So I told it is enhance the livelihood of coastal people. Then hatchery bred individuals are more hardier, survival long and fetch attractive prices. Actually, we are adopting some destructive fishing practices. So during collection, our fishes getting some injuries. So it is easily getting mortality. So, but in the case of hatchery bred young ones, we can avoid this injury, as well as it is hardier because the parents, when it get some infection, we are treating it. So it have the F1 generation get some immunity, their immunity is strong. So these all are the advantage for this ornamental aquaculture. So if you are seeing the freshwater ornamental trade, there are variety of fishes called guppy, gold, molly, tetra, angel, like that. In the case of marine, these all are the top 10 fishes. First is this is the damsel, cardinal, and this is called parrotfish. If you can see the mouth region of this fish, it looks like a parrotfish. So it is called as parrot. This is surgeon. This is lion. Again, this is ross, butterfly, angel. This is trigger, and this is clown with sea anemone. Friends, the center, this fish, this is called angel fish. The name of the common name of the fish is Quran angel or Allah fish. The scientific name of the fish is Pomocanthus semicirculatus. Friends, actually there is a scientist from Russia. He described the fish and he noted that the caudal fin of this fish, for your information, I am telling, this tail region of this fish, it resembles the old Arabic letter of La Illa and Illallaga. It is published in an international journal. So this fish is called as Allah fish or Quran angel. Quran angel. So we have blessed a lot of fishes in Gulf of Mannar in Tamil Nadu. So it have very good demand. It have very good demanded fish angel. But however, maintaining this fish in aquarium condition is somewhat very difficult. So friends, is it possible to breed all the fishes in captivity? Definitely not, because based on the reproductive patterns, we can categorize the fishes into 4 groups. It is some, they are egg depositor, some egg scatter, third one is mouth brooder, and fourth one is live bearer. So this egg depositor, India, we have a very good technology for egg depositor group, thanks to Annamalai University, thanks to Central Marine Fisheries Research Institute, and thanks to NBFGR. So all these 3 institutes, they have well perfected technology for this egg depositor group. Example, clown and damsel fishes currently also they are doing. Actually here the parental care of this fish is more. So the fish used to lay the egg on any hardy substratum. The male fish used to guard the egg. So everything will be happen before your eyes. So this group, the breeding of this group is easily possible. The again next group is egg scattering. Example is angel and butterfly fishes. So here we don't have, India don't have technology. Recently, 1 or 2 angels succeeded in Vietnam or Thailand. They have attempting and they got some experimental success with the egg scattering group, because here the female fellow used to lay the egg. Sometime male will fertilize, sometime may not fertilize, but it is very difficult to find where the egg is exactly found and all. So still we are also trying. The third one is mouth brooder. It is an interesting reproductive pattern. Actually the female fish used to lay the egg and the male fish will engulf the egg and keep it in its mouth. The incubation period is more than 2 weeks. So during this incubation period, this male fellow never accepts any feed. So after incubation, it will directly give the young ones from its mouth. So best example is this cardinal fish. So India, again, we have a well-developed technology for this cardinal fish. Live bearers. It is also again an interesting group, friends. Actually, this female seahorse used to lay the egg on the pouch of the male. The pouch of the male. So this is the incubation chamber. So here only the incubation will be held. So the live young ones, the live babies will be given, the birth given by male. So that is the important. So among all the living organisms, the seagulls, in my knowledge, the seagulls is the male seagulls used to give the birth of young. So again, India, we have the well-developed technology for seagulls breeding, thanks to CMFRI and Annamalai University. I told it is in red list. You are not allowed to keep, even research purpose also, government is not allowing to keep the seagulls in laboratory. So some program happened in Annamalai University. It is on breeding and sea ranging. Whatever you have to breed in the laboratory, you have to release back to the safe region of the water body. That is the sea ranging, stock enhancement program. So friends, among all the marine ornamental fishes, clownfish is more popular. Clownfish is more popular. You might have known that some 2-3 years back there was a cartoon movie called Finding Nemo. Finding Nemo. So once that movie comes into the platform, after that people used to more fond with this clownfish. So Bald is blessed with 30 species of clownfish, and India we have 16 species in Lakshadweep, Andaman, Gulf of Mannar and Gulf of Kutch. Actually, this is the best example. My zoology teachers, you might have know better than me. It is the best example for mutual relationship. Actually, both the beneficiaries are getting benefit. The sea anemone and the clownfish is the best example. Actually, if you are trying to catch the clownfish associated with the sea anemone, it is very difficult to catch. It will goes to the mouth of the sea anemone. So the clownfish get protection from its predator. It is very difficult to catch them. It will goes to the mouth and come out freely. But any other fish other than clownfish, it goes to the mouth, immediately the sea anemone will kill the fish. That is the thing. That is the understanding between this clownfish and sea anemone. The sea anemone, you all aware that it is a sedentary animal used to attach with any hardy substratum. So whatever the clownfish used to consume as a feed, it used to share the feed with the sea anemone. So what are the uneaten food material falling down from the mouth of the clownfish? It serves as a food material for the sea anemone. So anemone is getting feed, clownfish is getting protection. That is the mutual relationship of the symbiotic relationship of the sea anemone. Then these clownfish have another one peculiar character called protandrous hermaphrodism. Here actually by birth all the clownfishes are subadult male. There is no sex. Actually the surrounding temperature, surrounding environmental factors is determining the sex of the clownfish. So here the important thing is, if we can transfer the technology to the poor farmer, a layman, he can easily breed the fish. There is no need to bring a potential male, potential female. If you can accommodate any two fish in a confined system, within 3 to 4 months, automatically you can get a pair. So that is the advantage for this clownfish, and that is the scientific term. We can say it is a protandrous hermaphrodism. So friends, these all are the different batches of clownfish we produced in our own catchery system. So in my knowledge, at present India we have blessed with 5 generation of clownfish for this 4 group. This is Ambiprayan ocellaris, this is Ambiprayan sibae, Percula and Primus biculetus. Actually, I told 30 clownfish species are there. Among the 30, 29 species falls under Ambiprayan genera and one on Primus. See, this is the egg deposition made by the fish. It used to lay egg on any hardy substratum, so it will take 6 to 8 days to hatch out. So till that, this male fellow used to guard the egg. It will fan the egg and it will secure the eggs. So that's why I told that parental care is more in this egg depositor group, particularly this clownfish. Friends, beginning the slide, I showed that we have a lot of variants in the case of clownfish. In the goldfish. So many variants in a single strain called Cariaceus auratus. Likewise, now in marine also they have started started working with this designer clown. see so many designer clowns they have introduced. Again, the strain, the original strain is Ambiprion percula only. From the Ambiprion percula, lot of genetical modification they are doing, and they are bringing designer fishes according to the interest of the takers. So here one scientific thing I want to emphasize. Actually, see, these two are two different species. It is Ambiprion ocillaris. This is Ambiprion percula. If you can minutely see, you can see this absence of this black line in this ocillaris. Friends, actually, to avoid genetic modification, when I was working in Annamalai University, we have done with the done for the natural pair formation of between two species. Actually, more than 2.5 years, we didn't get pair, and we lost a lot of fishes. But finally, after 2.5 years, this in between these two species, they become pair, and we got the egg. See, the egg deposition made by the fish. So we got the F1 generation, and we done the trait analysis, and the trait analysis showed that F1 is more colorful than the parents, as well as this F1 generation. The growth, actually I told 3 months time is enough to reach marketable size, but here the crossbreed, natural crossbreed, within 2.5 months, more than 15 to 20 days, we have gained. Within 2.5 months, we reach the marketable size. So that is the advantages of this cross-on breed. Actually, when I left from the university, I couldn't be able to continue the research. So with this finding, we have made a good publication in aquaculture research. The outcome of this output of this work appeared in aquaculture research. So this is the another group of fish called damsel. Damsel, again, very good demand in aquarium trade. It is a humpback damsel, and this is the green chromis damsel. Very good demand is there. So the mouth size of the larvae of this fish is very small when compared to the clownfish. Actually, clownfish larvae used to accept the rotifer as a first feed. You know that rotifer is zooplankton. We have well developed technology, but however, since the larval size of this mouth size of this damsels is too small, it is not accepting the rotifer. So we are struggling to feeding them initially. So this copepod Naupliae, we are trying to feed them. So now people are starting working with this copepod culture. One of my friend in Bharati Dasan University, Tiruchi, one Professor Santhanam, he is working with this copepod. So once it comes into the commercial scale, definitely India will succeed with almost all the fishes, because most of the marine organism, the larval mouth size is too small. So in future, definitely we can get succeeded. So this one I told that cardinal fish, that example for mouth breeder, the female fellow used to lay the egg, the male will immediately fertilize and engulf the egg and keep it in the mouth. Of course, it is a exotic fish. So most of the research institutes are not encouraging to breeding the fish, because it is not in the official list to import the fish. The government of, I told that the government has given a list of 92 species. It is not all under the list. Again, it is nicely. So friends, this is the hatchery. This is the actually you may think that the fish production hatchery farming means very big setup. We need acre and acre lands. Not like that. In the case of marine hatchery, small, some 1,000 to 2,000 square feet area is close to room is very much essential for that. This is the demonstration hatchery set up in Annamalai University Faculty of Marine Science. So during my stay there, we have established this setup. These all are the broodstock tank. Actually, I told that it has the Protanthus hermaphrodite habit. So if we can introduce any two in one tank, automatically it become pair. So in one particular tank, one pair will be maintained. So this is the larval rearing setup. Once the hatch out will occur, we will ship the larvae to this kind of tank. This is the juvenile rearing. Once the larvae is to get metamorphosis, that is after a month, we will shift here. So this is the rearing tank. After 2 months, we will 3 months, we will market this. So friends, actually, I told that the main mandate of my own institute, NBFGR, is conservation and livelihood promotion. So recently, we have signed a MOU with the government of Maharashtra. The Department of Forest, government of Maharashtra, have a firm called Mangrove Foundation. Mangrove Foundation, they have the fund of UNDP, United Nations Development Program. Through that fund, they have supported to our own institute, NBFGR. So through this, the main motive of the project is conservation of biodiversity as well as promoting the livelihood of coastal people. I told we are collecting most of the fishes. The ornamental sector is concerned, 99% of the freshwater fishes we are getting from our hatcheries. But just to revert back, 99% of the marine we are collecting from our own natural resources. So some destructive fishing practices we are following. So to avoid that kind of things, we have to produce our own fishes. So we established a hatchery facility at Thane district. It is Airoli, the place called Airoli. This Mangrove Foundation have a office called Coastal and Marine Biodiversity Center. So there we have established a hatchery. There 10 different clown fishes we have stocked there. From there we are breeding this and rearing them for 1 month, and we are supplying to the beneficiaries in the coastal Maharashtra. Initially, we selected 5 districts: Thane, Palghar, Raigad, Sindhudurg, and Ratnagiri. So this Mangrove Foundation is supporting to the local people for establishing rearing unit. So our team, NBFGR, as well as the hatchery Brahmons, they will rear it for another 3 months, and they are marketing it. So this is the hatchery setup. We have established the functioning hatchery in Airoli, NBFGR hatchery in Airoli. So friends, we are continuously giving hands-on training to the beneficiaries. Actually, 5 days we are giving training to the beneficiaries identified by the Mangrove Foundation. We are giving training to water quality analysis as well as how to rear and all these things. So each batch 40 to 50 members are attending. So after that, what we are doing, among the participants, some interested candidates, based on their involvement, we are identifying. Then again, they are undergoing in-depth training. They are staying in the hatchery and they are learning the things. Now we have sufficient young ones with us. Due to this COVID, we didn't supply the young ones, and shortly, probably December or January, our beneficiary unit will start function. So this is the thing we have done at Annamalai University. We have giving a lot of hands-on training to the beneficiaries, and there are some success stories in Ramanad district, Tuticorin, as well as Lakshadweep of there. Some beneficiary, they are adopting the technology and they are earning some regular income. Actually, we are facing some issues also. Disease is the serious problem. A lot of infection we are facing and all. So friends, initially we have treated the infected fishes with some antibiotics. So later we have done experiment with this mangrove herbals. So we have done experiment with this Exocaria agalaka, Avicennia marina, Rhizophora. So you know that this Exocaria agalaka, a lot of reports are available. So many, it has some medicinal property. So we have collected the extract, latex and leaf extract of this agalaka and started infected fish. So I'm happy to share the fish is free from disease, as well as the F1 generation derived from the mangrove herbal treated fishes have some more resistant capacity. So we are advising our beneficiaries also, no need to go for antibiotic. This mangrove herbals have promising effect. So this also again we have published in this experimental biology, I think. Yes. So friends, this is the canister filter. Beginning I told a lot of filtration system available in the market. This is the canister filter. So because filtration is very much essential. So you know that the excretory product of fish is ammonia. If the ammonia load will increase, automatically fish will get infected. So we have to develop the filtration system, and through that filtration system setup we have to grow our beneficial bacteria, Nitrosomonas. So this this cost of this canister filter is 27,000. So the same mechanism we have developed our own indigenous filtration. So the cost of this filter is just 500 to 750 rupees. It has also given the promising result. Some ceramic ring, activated carbon, and charcoal. Some coral sand. Coral sand means coral is banned, you know. So the washed out corals we are using for this thing. So this Nitrosomonas will convert the ammonia into nitrate, and the nitrobacter will convert into nitrate. So this is the filtration setup we have developed, and small scale filtration system for the beneficiaries. So this is functioning nicely. So we developed packing and transportation strategies also. So not only breeding is important, so whatever we have developed and whatever we have produced in our hatchery, we have to make it into market. So transportation is important. So using the clove extract, clove, you know, clove extract, we have standardized the technology for packing. So 1 liter water, 2.5 centimeter fish with 10 numbers. So 48 hours it is nicely surviving, and we have done this experiment nicely, and we have flashed the outcome of this publication in aquaculture research. Friends, so far what I have briefed is the work done at mainland. Now I am a little bit briefing about the Lakshadweep Islands and what my institute ICAR NBFGR is doing in Lakshadweep. That I will brief. I will not take much time. Another 5 to 10 minutes, we will wind up. So Lakshadweep Island, you know that 36 islands are scattered in Arabian Sea, very beautiful islands. Actually, there is no livelihood for these people. Wherever you see coconut tree and tuna. The only livelihood for this people is Lakshadweep people is copra and tuna. So, and when I was in Annamala University, Ministry of Earth Science, this Center for Marine Living Resources and Ecology, they have given a project to us, and we established a hatchery at Agathi Island of Lakshadweep. And through this facility, we developed technology and extended technology to the beneficiaries. And here the important thing and the happiest thing is, till this date, some 5 to 7 beneficiaries, they are breeding these fishes, and they are getting some 2,000 to 3,000 rupees per month. That is the great honor to our work, I strongly believe. So this all of the training. This is the unit that local island people, they are running the their own facility. These all are the visuals of the training and hands-on training and capacity building program. So this is their own facility. Still it is in operational. So friends, actually I told that there is a lot of development in technology. So people initially they started their hobby with the freshwater fish, then gradually switch over to marine fish. Now they are started growing the marine ornamental invertebrates. Marine ornamental invertebrates means this sea anemone as well as ornamental this shrimp. People are interested with mollusks. So many things there are. So many interested invertebrates. Marine ornamental invertebrates playing role in the aquarium trade. So I told that India we have well-developed technology for clownfish. However, since this clownfish have the association with the sea anemone, still we are collecting the sea anemone from wild only. So NBFGR took this as a challenge, and now we are trying to breed these fishes, ornamental shrimp as well as this sea anemone. So we have got some experimental success with the sea anemone reproduction. Sea anemone actually it will breed sexually and asexually. So both the case we have got some experimental success. In the case of this ornamental shrimp, see how beautiful shrimps. So during our exploration, my students, they have collected all this shrimp from Lakshadweep, and we are trying to bring out the captive produced young ones to the market for sustainable aquarium trade. So friends, actually I told that main motto of my intention and work is to livelihood promotion. But since the program students are attached, some students, PhD students are there, so they want to get some position and all. So some R&D work also we are doing. So here I want to share the things that this is the Persilimella agati and Euroquadrilla arabiensis. These two shrimps are new to science. These two are new to science. Our NBFGR, we discovered both shrimp. Since we discovered this shrimp from Agati Island, we named up this as Persilimella agati. Since this Agati Island is attached with the Arabian Sea, second animal we have named as Arabiensis. So both we published in Zootaxa journal, and now we are trying to bring out both the organism into aquarium trade. So some experimental success we got, but definitely I have strong hope future we can bring out these two. So that is new to the world, because since we describe this thing, so far it is not available in the market. So these two organisms, Lismata kochi and Thor heniacans, it is already reported in foreign countries. However, first report in India, and this we are now trying to bring out on aquaculture. This Thor we have succeeded. We got more than 50 to 60% survival. Shortly we will launch the sale of this fish for the livelihood of the sale of this shrimp for the livelihood of the islanders. Then our finding has been flashed in current science. Actually, you know that current science, they are behind this physics and chemistry. However, they have given importance for the our finding that there is a association of isopod parasite with the ornamental shrimp, Stenophus cuspidus. It is the first report in Indian water. So friends, this is the shrimp I told that new distributional record from Indian water, Thor heniensis. So we bred this shrimp in captivity, and we are trying to bring out to the aquaculture, ornamental aquaculture and aquarium trade market. So shortly it will come. So this is new to the aquarium trade. It is not available in the trade. So very beautiful shrimp. It have good association with this anemone. So this is another one shrimp called Brevicarpalis. This also have very good demand. Now the trade is met out by only the wild collected shrimp. So we are first time we are trying to bring this to the aquarium trade, the hatchery bred young ones. See, these all are the small hatchery bred young ones, produced in our NBFGR hatchery. So this is another one shrimp called Gnathophyllum americanum. And again, we got some success on the hatchery production of this thing. So we will. So far we have succeeded with these three groups. So shortly we will hand over this technology to the islanders. Now we are trying to link the program, this program with the local islanders. So because I told that they don't have any promising livelihood. So at least some few 10-15 islanders get through 2,000 to 5,000 rupees per month. It will be a good thing for them. So this is the what is called one protocol, one package we have developed for this backyard hatchery of clownfish as well as ornamental shrimp. So initially they can spend around 50,000. After 3-4 months they can definitely get more than 7,000. Here actually there is no science, but the sincerity and the dedication should be there. More care, because this animal needs some care. So if you can extend their care and dedication, definitely they can earn more income. So friends, live feed is the most important thing. Actually, it is a very big chapter. I don't want to go in detail. Actually, microalgae as well as zooplankton. So this is the stock culture facility. This stock culture facility we are maintaining with the chemical media, and once it goes to the mass culture, some organic nutrients like ammonium sulfate, superphosphate, cow dung, like that we are using. So this is the initial first feed for the newly hatched organism. Followed, we are giving zooplankton, and then artemia, squashed mussel, trashed fish as well giving. We have developed some artificial feeds also. I told that through this mangrove herbal mangrove extract as an ingredient, we are developing some feed. So this is also we are doing some experiment for both our fishes as well as young shrimps. So to go forward, what we have to do, we have to make lot of clusters to collaboration with local NGOs, local self-help group. We have to give more hands-on training. National Fisheries Development, Marine Product Export Development Authority, then National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development. A lot of agencies are ready to support us. So we have to utilize the thing. So we have to establish a common platform called the Marine Ornamental Village or Marine Ornamental Aquaculture. I forgot to tell the program which we initiated in Maharashtra. That is the establishment of Marine Ornamental Village in coastal Maharashtra. That is the first of its kind program in marine sector. Of course, some kind of thing freshwater is going on in Karnataka, I believe, some freshwater ornamental fish. So we are first time trying to establish a village, marine ornamental fish village. A lot of opportunities are there. So it is well developed technology is there, woman friendly. We can make it as a large scale industry level also. We can promote less production costs. So these all are the advantages. But some constraints are also there. When compared to food fish sector, we have limited data, we have limited facility, we have limited attention, and there is no proper coordinated between institute and organization. So I am sure I have a lot of confidence now. This is the good time since the Blue Revolution is launched by the government. Definitely we can come across all this constraint and we can make a breakthrough. And there is a lot of constraints are also there. For example, most of you friends, you know that now this National Biodiversity Authority, they have put a lot of rules and regulation. Biodiversity Act, they are telling if you want to take resource from natural, they are telling it comes under what is called that we have to share the profit with the government. They have established the protocol called assess and benefit sharing. So whatever we are utilizing for research and the product come, we have to give to share to the government. Then again, Ministry of Environment Forest, they are introducing lot of rules and regulation for keeping ornamental and aquarium trade. But Ministry of Fisheries and Aquaculture is promoting ornamental aquaculture like anything. So we have to sit together, we have to coordinate each other and come across all these issues. Then these notifications are also not clear, not proper. So now this is the time we have to clear all these things and we have to come across all these issues. So these all are the main items, main things we need. The main thing is the national quarantine facility is needed for ornamental fishes in India. You know that there is a quarantine facility running by Rajiv Gandhi Center for Aquaculture at Chennai. It is for the Venami shrimp only. Now you know that now the Indian aquaculture sector is playing major role with this Venami shrimp. Of course, it is also getting shut down. Already our own native species Monodon gone. Next Venami. So Venami, whoever importing from anywhere of the world, it directly goes to the quarantine facility of RGCA. After quarantine only, they are supplying to the hatchery owners. Likewise, we need a well-established quarantine facility for ornamental fishes, because now the imported fish directly it is going to the traders. I don't know what they are doing, how they are treating us. Simply they are supplying to the hobbyists. So many pathogens are entering through this. So some hurdles, some issues, some things are there. These all issues have to come across, and we have to segregate all these issues. So we have our own ministry, separate ministry. We have Ministry of Fisheries, then NBFGR, NFDB, and this MPDA, National Biodiversity Authority, and the Ministry of Environment. All they have to work together and develop a common platform, and we have to succeed with this aquaculture production, particularly with ornamental aquaculture. Friends, these all are the some output of the work we have done. I told student for the welfare of students they are doing. All credit goes to our research teams, my own students. They made a different publication in this publication. Actually, and I told that the technology should reach the common public. At least a farmer, if he can earn an income of 2,000, 5,000, it will be a great satisfaction to us. But it is true. But one way our system, our administration is behind publication, patent, product. If you are getting publication, patent, and product, then only you will be promoted. So for getting promotion, publication is again needed. So even though whatever we are concentrating is publication and other thing, so my intention is I wish you all is technology should reach the common public. So thank you very much, friends, for having listened. This is my mail ID and mobile number. You can feel free and contact me. Once again, my sincere thanks to Sriya Madam and the authorities of Ayyappa College and the other partners of this program, and my good friend Director SIFA, Dr. Swaib. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your knowledge on the diversity of ornamental fishes and various business opportunities available in the fish rearing. Your talk was very engaging. It was very fascinating to see kitchen sink aquariums. Thank you for creating an awareness regarding biodiversity conservation. There were many new information shared, and also your slides were lovely. The photographs of fishes were very colorful and appealing. Thank you so much for such a lovely presentation, sir. Now let's move on to the.
Thank you very much for compliments.
Now let's move on to the question and answer session. Participants, please post your questions in the chat box. Sir, may I read out the questions for you?
Yeah, please.
So the first question is from Pabitra ma'am. She's asking, is addition of colors to the glass fishes harmful?
Actually, madam, can you please mute your mic?
Excuse me, Divya. Yes, it's muted, sir.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Thank you, madam. Actually, in scientifically, it is not a good. It is against ethics, because if a trained person, if he is injecting the fish, okay, mortality will be avoided. But if they are injecting 100 fish, I came to know that most of the fishes are getting mortality. If a trained person, he is getting, okay, it will be fine. But it is again the color will be dissolved in the captive condition, and it will spoil the other fishes also. So it is not advisable one. However, I told now, but it is with the livelihood people are doing. Not advisable one.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. The second question is from Sandhya ma'am. Her question is, sir, what about the breeding and hatching success rate in glass fish?
No, they are not breeding, doing any breeding in the glass fish, only wild caught fish only. Because I told now the cost of the fish is some 10-20 rupees only. During season, if bulk quantity will get even 5 rupees only. People used to breed which fish get more price. Okay, that's why breeding they are giving importance to the fish getting more price. This is very cheapest fish, no? There, so in my knowledge, there is no technology available for the breeding of glass fish.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. There is no other question.